Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me spend some time with you. I do appreciate it. Appreciate everybody who's listening to the audio only. If you would go over to either YouTube or Rumble, give us a like, share, subscribe, all those good things. You know the deal. You know the deal, right? But we do appreciate everybody who listens. And as many of you know, I get a lot of the topics from what I talk about from questions from you folks. And I had a question several months ago, and I didn't want to address it publicly until his question was resolved. And now I can. Because it had to deal with when do I propose marriage? How do I know? Right? And as we were messaging back and forth, and I was trying to kind of give him a little bit of guidance, it gets kind of, how do I want to say this? It gets a little gray, okay? Because in the Bible, right, there's some examples. And he was saying, well, do I ask this person? Do I ask that person? How do I know? What do I talk about? What do I do? And there's examples, but they're all different. If we look at Esther, for instance, she didn't date the king before she was chosen. She basically was chosen to enter a contest first, right? And then if we look at Ruth and Boaz basically broached the subject with the person who was in line to marry Naomi. Although, if you look at that whole story, Ruth did sort of entice Boaz, right? And then, of course, David and Bathsheba. David wound up with Bathsheba through some very nefarious dealings. But none of these examples are how we might expect to experience or explain this today, because our society is so different. Our traditions are different. Our expectations are different. Our whole outlook and the way it has evolved over the years has changed. But before I get into that, let's look at something kind of important. In the Western world, dating has basically replaced courtship, right? And I will say that in the perfect world that we don't live in, dating should only last a couple of weeks at the most. That would give you sufficient time, for two people to know, are we compatible? Are we okay together? Do we enjoy each other? Yes, no. Sometimes, but even more importantly, is it two people spending time together, or is it two people that the Creator has brought together? That is the question. Sadly today, a lot of people have never been taught what marriage is, so they don't understand that dating isn't what leads to a strong marriage. Love isn't what leads to a strong marriage alone. Even trust doesn't lead to a strong marriage. But getting to know someone's one thing. And if that leads into that deeper feeling of, I think I can raise a family with this person, then that's when something else begins to develop. You see, both people, they need to have a desire and a want to be married. But one can't do it alone. One's not enough. If both people feel they're ready and they continue the relationship, it will probably move on to something more than just spending time together. Of course, this doesn't look anything like examples from the Bible, does it? Today, there are very few kings who might ask for a contest for someone to be chosen. There are very few Ruth and Boaz stories, although some marriages And one entices the other. Yeah, okay. I'll go along with that. Um, and although there are probably some marriages, and I shouldn't laugh about this, I really should, but in a way, it's kind of funny the way I'm going to say it. There are some marriages that may have been brought about through some nefarious dealing. Not all of them that work well, right? I think you know where I'm going with that. You know, it's not the norm. In the world we live in today, here's my suggestion. If you're thinking about the person you're spending time with, and you say, you know what, I think I could raise a family with them, then it is time to have not just a casual conversation. All right? It's time to gather some information. It's time to really start going, you know, maybe this is the one, maybe, but I need to know some things. Because marriage is more than you enjoy the same kind of movies. Marriage is more than you like the same thing to eat. Marriage is learning to live together, and that can be difficult. It can be difficult. It's tough. You have to learn to work together. You have to learn to worship together. You have to learn how to raise children together. And you have to talk about these things before, right? And here's the big one. Is one person trusting their creator and the other one not? That's a big one. That one gets in the way a lot. Does one person want children and the other doesn't want children? Does one keep a very neat, tidy, organized home and the other one just refuses to clean? You see, having an understanding of these things builds a foundation for a strong marriage, and only after satisfying these questions and many, many more, depending on who you are, right? Depends on the culture, depends on society, all these things come together. You have to discuss them. Then, once all of that's satisfied, the subject of marriage can be discussed. As much as you might love the idea, you know, oh, I just love being with this person. I love it when we go here. I think it's wonderful when we do that. I think it's great when we go there. We have so much fun together. You might think you're developing that feeling of, I'm in love. Oh, I'm in love. Here's where I got to bust your bubble just a little bit. Don't allow your emotions to overrule your conscience. If you think you are in love, but your conscience is saying, but I don't know, you know, the way he washes his clothes, the way she does something, that's your conscience. That's your conscience. You might think, oh, I'm in love, but it's the but that gets you. It really is. It will cause you problems in the future if you do not work it out now. Marriage is a covenant. And if you're both not willing to give 100% of everything that you have, it will never be strong. It will never be a strong marriage. The who asked who isn't really important. You know, should I ask my father? These are cultural, societal guidelines. And those shift with society, culture, and tradition. Marriage is much, much more than a physical attraction. Marriage is more than, oh, we both like chicken salad, let's get married. Now, you don't do that. Although I've heard people get married for much less. And we're going to leave pregnancy out of this conversation for now. It's not part of this conversation, so I'll tackle that another time. Marriage is a covenant commitment, and it should be carefully considered before you enter that commitment. All of this to say that the right time to propose is after you have discussed what really matters. After you have taken the time to pray and ask our Creator, did you bring this person to me? Did you bring this person to me? And then after he says yes, that is when I would say it's okay to ask. After you've just after you've gone through the discussions, after you have kind of gathered all the information, you don't need a background check unless you really want one. But after you have talked it out, considered it, prayed about it, and only after the Almighty says, yes, I brought this person to you, this is the one I want you to marry, then you can ask. Then you will know. You'll have no doubt. You'll have his blessing. But remember this. The Almighty also told Hosea to marry a prostitute. He will bring you the person you need. Might not be the person you want. He'll bring you the person you need. He will bring you the one that's right for you. Talk about it. Discuss it. Pray about it. And if the Almighty says yes, that's the time to propose, not before. If you do it before, you're in trouble. Trust me. Trust me, been there, done that. And believe it or not, after 35 years now, coming up on 35 years, I believe, I have a little bit of experience knowing when it's right and a lot of experience knowing when it's wrong. So, something to think about until next time. And as you're thinking about it and you want something to read, the books are available at authorjerrymitchell.com. There's my commercial for the day. If you're thinking about marriage, don't take it lightly. It's serious. I've been married for 35 years. I can joke about it a little bit. You know, I've lived through it. I've lived through a divorce. I know what it's like. That was a long time ago. Didn't enjoy it. Don't make my mistake. Talk it out first. Pray about it. And only when the answer is yes. From God first. Then you can ask the person that you're interested in. Something to think about until next time. And until then, many, many blessings, everyone.